Okay guys, we're going to do part 2 of the video. We're going to do the middle section of the rocks. In part 1 we did our background and we just started to add in some base color for the foreground, so part 1 should look like this. So for part 2 we're going to add in 3 lines for these rocks and the grass that are going to be here. When it's finished it should look something like this, where we have some variant colors in the rocks, so some are darker, some are lighter, and starting to put in the grass. So for this, I like to use sort of a small brush here. This is a number 4. I'll tell you about the numbers in class. And then a really, really tiny one, a number 5. Okay, and that's for really fine detail of outlining the rocks. So let's go ahead and do a couple. It's kind of like the tip of a pen. So you can just go ahead and outline, you know, the sizes that you want, wherever you're going to want to put them. And then we got to give that a couple of minutes to dry, because if I was to go ahead and start to fill in a different color, it would smudge. So let's say we do that one. We just want to give it about a minute or so to dry, and then we can add in the rest of the color so that it looks like this. Alright, so we're going to pretend that we're working on this one. We'll keep going. So at this point we're going to use the really, really tiny brush, the number 5, the really detailed brush. And we're going to do some grass. And when you're doing your grass, you just want to have a little bit of paint on the tip, and you're going to kind of flick it off to the left, a little bit to the right, and you're just going to keep going over and just flicking back and forth and putting in that grass. And then if you want a little bit darker, go back and add a bit of color, and then continue to add and put in your grass. And we're just going to continue doing that. Some longer, some shorter, throughout, until you feel you have enough. Now obviously on the original there we have a lot, and we're going to continue all along the edge here and make some small bushes as well, but we can get to that later. So let's go ahead and start a tree. This is the only other time that you're going to use that big brush again. So we're going to go in and get some dark black, really dark. And we're going to start right at the bottom, and I like to use the meaty part of my hand. I hold the paper down, and we're going to basically do one straight line and kind of rub up all the way to the top. So we're going to start around here. And as you're getting to the top, you're kind of pulling it off a little bit so that it gets thinner. So you can see it's a little thicker at the bottom and a little thinner towards the top. And then you just start adding on to it until you get the thickness you want. Okay. And then this is sort of what it's going to look like to start your tree. And after this, obviously in order to continue getting it darker, you're going to go back, add more color. And you're probably going to want to go over it, I'm going to say probably 3 times. If you're uncomfortable at this point using the big brush still, you can switch over to a smaller one and go ahead and start adding in some of the details around the trunk and getting it spaced out the way that you want. And that's pretty much how you're going to start each one of the trees. And then the final video I'll show you how to do some branches and the final work along the front. That's it for now, guys. Take it easy.